Yo, guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the locker room. We are back. Took a little 2-week break, I believe it was, because we just had some scheduling issues, couldn't get a recording done. But that is in the past, and we are here now. We are ready to record a episode. And when I say we, I mean me and Cody. How you doing today, Cody?
I am doing great, and it feels great to be back. Took a little bit of a break because
Went to Cedar Point,
had went to Cedar Point, had a couple things pop up, but it feels good to be back.
Yeah, we're back. Had a couple scares at Cedar Point, and it was packed. Packed. Never seen it so bad in my life. So basically what we're going to do is this episode is going to be a little bit different from our other ones. We are going to, instead of going through our recap of the past week, since we didn't talk about it on the previous week, we're going to have our power rankings this episode. The reason I wanted to do this episode is because I feel week 7 and week 8, these are the weeks where we get to see the contenders, the pretenders, and the mid-tier teams. This is where the NFL really starts to take fruition, and you can really see the outcomes of what's going to happen this season here in these upcoming weeks. So that is why we're going to be doing the power rankings right now. So before we get to that, we are going to be talking about some NFL news that has gone down, and forgive me if I forgot anything. You can just let me know. But we're going to start out with the news that came out today. We actually had 2 things of news that came out today. We'll start off with some bad news. We have Ja'Marr Chase out 4 to 6 weeks with a hip injury. Cody, I know you don't have Ja'Marr on any of your fantasy teams. I mean, do you have Tyler Boyd?
He's in my other league.
So that will help Tyler Boyd, so that does affect you a little bit. But overall, do you think this will slow the Bengals down at all? I mean, sure, it's going to slow them down, but do you think this will take a gigantic toll on the way their season's going to go?
Yeah. Ja'Marr just had a very, very good game, and so did Joe Burrow because he was giving him a lot of targets. But Tyler Boyd also had a good game as well. I will think it'll affect him just a little bit because that is one of Joe Burrow's massive weapons, and he's now got to heavily rely off of Tyler Boyd. And Joe Mixon for his running back hasn't been that consistent this year, so it's really just the passing game for the Bengals at this point, and the fact that they're losing their wide receiver one on that team is going to take a little bit of a blow, but I think they'll be able to still be consistent with performance in their games.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't think it's going to affect them, obviously. I mean, but it's not going to be like a big injury that's going to like destroy your season. Like, it's not like Joe Burrow's getting hurt, so I really don't think it will tear their season apart.
Yeah.
Now moving on to the other news that happened today. Kadarius Toney traded to the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs just got a hell of a Jesus, I can't speak, hell of a wide receiver in Kadarius Toney. He is, I don't know if you watched him, but he was a receiver at Florida, so I know a lot about him. But Giants were really giving him opportunities. So do you think he'll be able to succeed in Kansas City?
I'd like to say that he will most definitely be able to succeed because, he's got Patrick Mahomes throwing to him, who's going to be able to turn any receiver good. Obviously, Juju went over there and he's getting a lot of attention from Patrick Mahomes this year, and he's making him look good. And Kadarius Toney isn't going to make too big of an impact on that team, but he will definitely be a very good and reliable receiver. And it's just stacking up that juggernaut of an offense that the Chiefs already have, making him even more of an unstoppable force. And if he can stay healthy, basically, if Kadarius Toney can be healthy, then I most definitely think that he'll make a very good positive impact onto that team.
Yeah, absolutely. And now there's been a lot of trades this week. So that's very interesting as the trade deadline's coming up. Now we got Robert Quinn to the Eagles. NFL, I believe he was the NFL sack leader last year, and he goes to the Eagles for a 4th-round pick. I mean, this just proves that the Eagles are a real deal. I mean, this just boosts their defensive line, which was already outstanding, to over the moon. I mean, they're going to be amazing. They're going to get that pass rush. And with a great secondary, I think this defense is going to be very, very good. Cody, how do you think this will affect more of the NFL now that the Eagles are already a 6-0 team, adding another major piece to that defense?
I think that it'll just add them that little extra bit of, I guess you could say, reassurance that they needed to even better their team even more than it is right now. And there have been a couple of games where it might have been a close call, but regardless, they're still 6-0, and they are playing the Steelers this week, who, without a doubt, should be pretty easy. Their defense hasn't been looking too hot ever since the first couple weeks, and the Steelers' offense is just in a crisis right now. So they're easily going to walk away from that game 7-0, and I think Robert Quinn will be able to make some good impacts as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Eagles, they're my second favorite team. I don't know if you knew that, but they've always been my second favorite team. I don't know
Did
why
not
I
know
just like
that.
them. I love Jalen Hurts. I've always liked him out of college, and I just love seeing him
That's
play well.
that's me and Justin Herbert.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. So now, the worst news that breaks my heart. Brees Hall tears his ACL. He was my dynasty running back. Man, he was my first overall pick in my rookie draft. This one hurts because we don't know if he's going to be able to come back from ACL tear. It's that serious of an injury, especially showing how dominant the Jets have been. I mean, this injury it's going to have a huge impact on them as their running game was the top reasons they were scoring. But they did, we forgot to mention, they did go out ahead and acquire James Robinson from Jacksonville. So he is going to be in that running back room along with Michael Carter. But Cody, does this Brees Hall injury really affect them? Like, is Brees Hall the reason they're winning games, or are they going to continue to win games without him?
He does play a good factor into the rushing game and them getting touchdowns and them like marching down the field because obviously it feels like every week you watch them play, it seems like he's busting out for like a 60+ yard run on one play.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
he's a pretty big aspect of that
he had 4
offense.
rushes for 72 yards and a touchdown last week before
It's
he got hurt.
disgusting. That's disgusting.
That's in the first quarter.
Yeah, this guy
That's
was
more than
such an
Joe
explosive
Mixon has
power.
done all year.
Yeah, Joe Mixon ain't looking too good.
Yeah, no, not at all. That
But
hurt.
he's such an explosive power on that offense, and I definitely do think it'll take a dink into their team. Yeah, they have James Robinson now, who was a very good quick acquire by the Jets. Like it felt like it was the next day or the day after they announced the Brees Hall injury that James Robinson was immediately acquired by them. So that was a fast way to act on the situation. And with that being said, it won't affect them as much now because they have James Robinson to rely off of too.
As well as Michael Carter. I mean, I don't know what it is with the Jets. Do that like Michael Carter is a really talented running back, but do they not trust Michael Carter because he's a talented back who Robert Saleh came in last year, drafted Brees Hall. Brees Hall goes down, still doesn't have the faith of Michael Carter to carry the workload, immediately changed for James Robinson. So do the Jets not trust him? That's a very interesting question to bring up. And it hurts too, because I have him on my dynasty team, but maybe there's something we don't see, but as I see it, it's clear to see that they don't trust him for some reason.
Let's see if that a little bit more trust could come into play this week, seeing as he is most likely going to be under that spotlight. And they're going against the Patriots, who do have a good defense. So we'll see if
yeah, very good
he can be the standout running back after that game.
Yeah, they did say they're going to take it slow with James Robinson just because he needs to know the playbook. So
yeah,
we'll see. Well, that wraps up our NFL news segment and our intro. Now we're going to move on to our week 8, just season power ranking so far. This is all based on this season. There is no bias involved. That I cannot guarantee. So 32-1. So what's going to happen be Cody, you're both going to name our 32. We're going to talk about those teams. And then if teams that we have already talked about get mentioned on the board, we will just say what number we have them at. And then we'll continue all the way down the list. I'm really interested to see how close our lists are, Cody, because I feel like our top 3 are going to be pretty close. But
oh yeah, 100%.
This whole middle section it's going to be fun to see.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of rotations.
32. I want to know if you got the same as me. I got the Detroit Lions.
Oh, I got the Houston Texans.
Okay. I picked the Lions simply because they would be higher than the Texans for me, but these past couple games, their offense has looked terrible. Their defense has not looked good. Overall, these past couple games, their whole team has not looked good, so that's why I had to put them at 32.
Yeah, that's fair. For Texans, I honestly don't pay attention to that team that much, but my only other option was going to be the Lions, and I have a little bit more faith in the Lions. So I'll get into them in a little bit, but with the Texans, their offense just is a little lackluster, and it literally took them till week 4 to get their first win or some shit.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's pretty bad. They were literally the last winless team in the NFL. So the Texans have, for the past multiple years, been a worrisome franchise ever since the whole Deshaun Watson situation blew up and they traded away all their players and they have not been able to bounce back and they still are not able to bounce back. So
Yeah, we thought they were looking good against the Colts, and then it just all went downhill. Just
yeah,
they've been close in some games. Their offense has been able to put some things together. Against the Raiders, what they put up 20 points a week before that. They're putting up decent points. It's just their defense hasn't been able to stop people, and they have not been
yep,
able to take advantage of the opportunities that are given to them.
yep.
My 31, as I just talked about them, was the Houston Texans. Who do you got at your 31?
So my 31 is going to be the Lions. So we pretty much just flip flopped. Like I was saying, I have more faith in them. If DeAndre Swift can, get healthy and be a reliable source on their offense, they'd be a lot better. Obviously, they need to get it together on defense as well. So if they can get it together on defense, have DeAndre Swift healthy, and get out of this slump that they're in, it would be nice for them to kind of get back to that explosive Lions franchise that we were seeing in the beginning of the year because they have just been in a slump recently.
Yeah, I mean it puts
And they're
Dan
just
Campbell
coming
on that
off a
hot
bye
seat.
week, so they got that bye week recently.
Yeah, and I
Still looking
believe
a little
DeAndre Swift's
rusty.
coming back this week, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. But my number 30 is going to be the Carolina Panthers. They would be 32 if it weren't for PJ Walker coming in and beating the Bucks. I'm going to be straight up with that. Baker Mayfield looked terrible. Defense was giving up a lot of points. Their offense was not getting everything going. But PJ Walker came in, showed a little something in the week previous, but then really showed up here against Tampa Bay. Really showed up, got them a win. Not much to say. I mean, that is the reason that I don't have him at 32 is because PJ Walker was able to come in and get him a big win.
All right. So my number 30 is going to be the Denver Broncos. I
Woo!
am a massive Broncos hater. Not even that. I just dislike the team so much. And
Russ makes
I
my
always thought
brain
Russell
cells hurt.
Wilson was like a pretty decent quarterback. And it's not that I hate him. It's just like the team is just so horrible. It's like they have so many good players in front of them. And Nathaniel Hackett, he just needs to get fired. There's rumors literally going around that if he doesn't win this week, he will lose his job. And I kind of hope that happens. So that's why they're number 30. The offense is a absolute joke. They're the laughing stock of the NFL in terms of red zone performance, and they should be ashamed of that.
Yeah, I mean, that leads straight into my 29. My 29 is the Denver Broncos. Their quarterback situation, who they're paying over $40 million a year to, who they traded a bunch of draft capital, is performing worse than like 4/5 of the NFL. He is playing terrible. He is not playing good at all. The defense, I will say, is playing really well. That's why I have him higher up here. That offense needs to get it going because it is looking atrocious. I mean, it's easily the worst offense in the league I've seen so far, in my opinion. But that defense is holding him up to 29 for me.
Yep. All right. So my 29 is going to be the Panthers. So like what you're
Flip-flopped
saying,
again.
I put them over the Broncos because I just hate the Broncos. And with their win over Tampa, which was massive, it was one of the biggest upsets in recent NFL history, which is huge. Tampa was favored by 13 plus 13.5 and they lost, which is a massive upset. And it's their first game without Robbie Anderson and Christian McCaffrey, and they won, which
Yeah.
is huge.
See, is that a knock on
So
the Bucks or a praise of the Panthers?
yeah, that was an interesting game for sure. But I mean, kudos to them, and that's why they literally went from ranked 32, arguably about 2 weeks ago, to bumping it up just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit. And this, Cody, I think is where our list will kind of drift off. So I'm going to let you go first with your 28 here.
So my 28 is going to be the Jaguars.
Okay.
have been just kind of a mid team. They haven't been too terrible. You know, Trevor Lawrence is definitely looking a lot better this year. Seeing as he doesn't have to deal with Urban Meyer anymore, who kind of just wasted his first season. So I'm glad that the Jaguars have a glimmer of light in him. Obviously, they just traded away James Robinson, but anyways, they've just been using ETN a lot more than him, so that
Yeah.
doesn't affect him too much. And their offense is doing pretty good, but just their turnovers is what's killing them. Their defense is not the greatest. So not a terrible team, but not the
Could be a
greatest.
lot better. Should be a lot
Yeah,
better.
100%.
That offensive line is really good, and they're just not performing. So now we are on my 28, and that's going to be the Indianapolis Colts. Matt Ryan recently benched a quarterback who you traded for, and you bench him. Not
Mm-mm-mm.
a good sign at all. That offense does not look good. Jonathan Taylor has not looked good. Everything about this offense does not look good besides a couple games. The defense has given up points. They're just not as bad as the other teams below. I mean, they have a better offense than the Broncos, Panthers, Texans, and Lions. Maybe not Lions is debatable, but and then they have a better defense than the Lions, Texans, Panthers. Broncos got a better defense, but the Denver offense is atrocious. So that is why I have the Colts ahead of them. Who's your 27 is what we're on now.
My 27 is going to be the Commanders,
Ooh, okay.
and obviously they are moving up a little bit, seeing as they just beat the Packers, which we'll get into in a little bit. Um, the Commanders have just kind of they've been good at the beginning of the season. They tricked us a little bit, and now they're like kind of, not the greatest. Carson Wentz is just
He is
he's
hurt.
injured right now, so
Yeah.
what's his face? Taylor Heineke actually
Didn't look
doing some pretty decent numbers against the Packers
yeah,
last
he
game.
did all
So
right.
if he can keep up those numbers, with Carson Wentz being out, then I think that they can kind of slowly creep up the way. But in the division that they're in right now and the way that the other three teams are performing in their division, there's no doubt that they're just going to sit at the bottom for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, Commanders, but I will say they're going to sit at the bottom of the division, but we'll get into it. The division is pretty damn good.
Oh,
You have
100%. It
the
came out of
6
nowhere
and 0
too.
Eagles, the 5-2 Cowboys, and the 6-1 Giants. That is three teams in your division over 5 wins. If you would have told me that the NFC East is gonna have the best division record at this point in the season, I would have said you're crazy. They're like
Easily.
bizarre. My 27 is gonna be the Jacksonville Jaguars, simply because they're not a bad team, but they are just underperforming. They have a decent offensive line. Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. Travis Etienne is a good running back. The defense is a little rough, but they have young pieces with Trayvon Walker, Josh Allen, Devin Lloyd, Andre Cisco. These are young pieces that are very, very decent and could potentially be great. They're just not there yet, which is why I had to put them down here. Moving on to 26, I have the Washington Commanders. As you said, that win over the Packers did boost them a little, but overall they were not looking good on the offensive side of the ball, having a lot of turnovers. Then on the defensive side, they did look all right, but that offense was just holding them down for me.
Yeah. So my 26 is going to be the Colts.
Okay.
Kind of like what you were saying before, how they just literally benched Matt Ryan. Jonathan Taylor hasn't been doing too great this year compared to last year. And the Colts offense is decent. It could be better. We'll see how it is with Matt Ryan being out. Because Matt Ryan was screwing the team over with his turnovers. And their defense is just kind of it's about mid to a little bit above medium range. So, but they're not playing like how they should have been this year, and that's why they're 26 for me.
Yeah, absolutely not. Playing terrible. Now moving on to 25, I have the Chicago Bears, who would have been lower, but they just had a very impressive performance against the Patriots. They actually won me my fantasy game because I was going against the Patriots defense, and they were able to put up a hefty number on the Patriots. So I had to
Yeah, that
congratulate them
was
for
a
that.
massive upset.
Justin Fields looked good last game. He was able to extend the play, and he was able to be calm. And they are a rushing team, and that they need to continue to do this. They need to run the ball with Justin Fields, run the ball with Khalil Herbert, and run the ball with David Montgomery. You have three dynamic runners, and then to make teams worry about that. And when they're worrying about that, you hit them over the top with the deep ball and the pass. That is what they should do. They are a running team. They need to full on commit to it, and I think that they could be a decent NFL team. But they have not been doing that, so that's why they're all the way down here at 25.
All right, my 25 is going to be the Steelers. I was kind of talking base about them a little bit earlier on how they're just not playing like how they should. First week, they looked like they were going to be pretty solid of a team, and as of recently, they're kind of having a quarterback crisis between Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett. And everyone's like, oh, Kenny Pickett's going to be the future. It is his first year, but he's not looking too great.
Yeah.
And the Pittsburgh offense is just in a crisis right now with Najee doing absolutely horrible.
Yeah, Najee's
with a freaking stat line that Daniel Jones has more rushing yards than Najee blows my mind. And that kind of explains how the Steelers defense or offense is performing this year. And the Steelers defense is doing pretty good. They obviously could have looked a lot better, but with losing TJ Watt in week 1 didn't help their case. So,
yeah, not at all. I mean, I will get to my 24, which is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kenny Pickett, not like the greatest. I mean, we've shown signs of what he can do, but overall, looks like he's not really settled in there yet. Not really calm, a little panicked on the field, getting a little nervous, which is going to happen with the rookies. But there is some throws that he's not been able to make that he needs to make. The defense, as you said, is suffering a lot without TJ Watt, but thankfully, he is coming back. So hopefully the Steelers team can get back on track. They have battled through a lot of injuries, and Najee has been terrible. So hopefully those problems can be fixed. So that was my 24. So who is your 24?
My 24 is going to be the Cleveland Browns.
Okay.
They have their ups and downs through a few weeks. They'll make a couple big plays here and there. I do think that Jacoby Brissett is doing a really great job of holding the team over while Deshaun Watson gets his crap figured out. And if, the cases would stop popping up, what feels like every other week there's a new one, the Browns would probably be a little bit better of a team. But who even knows, because Deshaun hasn't even started a game in since 2019 or something?
Yeah, it's been a while.
So you're investing all this money into a quarterback who hasn't started in over 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So that's going to be always sketch. And I'm not going to be on the Deshaun Watson bandwagon until I see him perform and throw up some numbers. But right now, Jacoby Brissett's doing really great. Nick Chubb being the leading rusher in the NFL going into week 8, which is huge and I think very unexpected by a lot of people. Really great for him. And then they also have Kareem Hunt as a really good secondary, but it seems like these past 3 to 4 weeks, they've been really favoring Nick Chubb over him, which is nice to see. And their receiver core could be a little bit better, but they definitely have some playmakers out there. So really solid team, and it's nice to see them doing pretty decent this year.
This keeps happening. Talking about the Browns, your 24 is always your one that you previously talked about is always the one next on my list. So my 23 is the Cleveland Browns. As you just said, I mean, quarterback situation. Jacoby Brissett's not terrible, but he's not. The thing is, he can. How do I say this? He can lose you games, but you can win games with him. He's a manageable quarterback, but overall, they need to score more points because they almost beat the Ravens, but their defense played well. But you need to put up more than 20. You need to. They're not finishing. They're not finishing the game. That is
they should have won that game 100%.
Yeah, they controlled the time of possession. They need to finish the game, which is why I have them so low on this list. They could be a 5-2 team, honestly, if they finish games. They could be a 5-2 team.
Oh yeah,
but that is my 23, the Cleveland Browns.
So my 23 is going to be the Falcons. I don't know if that interferes with your 23. My 23.
It does not.
Okay, so the 23 is going to be the Falcons. I don't pay too much attention to them. watching the game right now. Mark
Mark
Andrews is
Andrews heading to the
questionable with a
locker room.
shoulder injury. Um, but
Oof.
yeah, the Falcons, Marcus Mariota, he's doing pretty decent, and Drake London is what feels like having not too great of a season as
Battling some
well.
injuries.
Yeah. So the Falcons offense is just the Falcons team, I basically can say is the Falcons team. They'll make it seem like they're going to win the game and then end up just blowing it on either offensive by throwing an interception or defense by just giving up yards or touchdowns or whatever. So I always saw the Falcons as a mid team, and they're proving that this year. So nothing to really say about them.
I thought they look. I'll touch on them when I get. I'll touch on them when I get to them because they're coming up soon. My 20. What were we on 22?
If you already did your 23, yeah.
Yeah, I did. Okay. My 22 is going to be the Saints because they cannot figure
Ooh.
out who their quarterback's going to be. Because Jameis Winston is completely healthy and he's being benched for Andy Dalton, which is not the greatest. You don't want to be benched for Andy Dalton, but defense giving up a lot of points. That is not great. Chris Olave has been great. I love seeing that. But overall, that defense needs to step it up because their offense is putting up points on the board and they're still not being able to win, which is because of the defense. So my biggest fault on them is the defense. They really need to improve that, and if they want to win football games.
So my 22 is going to be the Saints as well, which I think is going to be what our first
Yeah,
same
it's our
one.
first exact match.
All right. So I'll kind of just quickly touch base on it. Their offense is not looking too great. They can definitely get the points. In terms of Michael Thomas,
Whew.
he is. We'll see what
I
happens
think
with
I
that
saw him at the
guy.
hospital the last time I seen him.
It's crazy that this guy missed so long with a toe injury and freaking what's the Commander's running back's name?
Brian Robinson got shot and he's
He got
back
shot and
before.
he's playing. Bro got shot and he's playing. And Michael Thomas missed like all of last season. He had a good week one game, got two touchdowns, from a fantasy standpoint at least.
Yeah.
And since then he's just been mid. Alvin Kamara's been mid. Personally, I like that they're starting Andy Dalton over Jameis Winston, just because I don't think
Dalton's
Jameis is
been looking
that
all
great.
right. He's not been terrible.
Dalton, I've never been a big fan of him either because, he's just a journeyman quarterback and he's probably just going to be traded away next year unless the Saints favor him because it feels like he's on a new team every year, every other year. But if Andy Dalton can do solid, I think he can turn the Saints around to like a nice little close but not yet playoff contention, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, I can see it. I mean, they're two and
It's a
five.
stretch, but
They're 2-5 right now, but hopefully it's
they're
not.
going against the Raiders, so we'll never know what happens.
Yeah, God, yeah. I mean, they'll probably win this week. Jesus. But Mike Evans dropped that one. Ooh. Sorry, I didn't mean to get that, but Mike Evans had a deep pass, dropped it. So we were just talking about the New Orleans Saints, our first match with Cody. I'm going to talk about as I just did. So now we're going to go to 21, and here is the first red flag. My 21. Can you guess who it is?
Uh, the Buccaneers.
Correct. 21 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're kind of proving me wrong right now as they're up 10-3 right now against the Baltimore Ravens currently in the second quarter. So who knows? Maybe they'll go up after this list. So yeah. So overall, Tom Brady has been not good at all. Tom Brady has not looked good. He's had a couple good games, but he's not playing up to Tom Brady's standards. The defense isn't it's playing all right, but they really just need to establish a form of offense if they want to be able to really pick it up and start getting going like this Super Bowl team that we saw a couple of years ago. Because if you look at it, it's pretty much the same roster, but the offense has just let it down time and time again, from missed throws to Brady yelling at his teammates to Mike Evans dropping passes to Chris Godwin missing with injuries. A lot of struggles have come with this team that they really need to be fixed if they want to get somewhere.
You say that as the Buccaneers are going off on 4th and 8 as Brady underthrew a pass.
Yeah. Point proven.
Yeah. All right. So mine is going to be a little different probably from yours now. My 21 is going to be the Bears.
Ooh,
Before them beating the Patriots, they were not that great of a team. Their offense was just kind of not the greatest with Justin Fields. Now, I don't know what's going on with Justin Fields because he looked good week 1 and he just looked phenomenal against the Patriots. They didn't even beat the Patriots. They got like a pretty good point gap in there as well at home. And the Patriots have been kind of bullying teams for the past couple of weeks as well. So that's pretty impressive to see. Um, Obviously, the Patriots are kind of going through a quarterback crisis right now between Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. It doesn't sound like, or it sounds like they don't know what they want. So Mac Jones is gonna,
we
I
know what the
guess,
fans want.
try to keep the starting job. But obviously, after that interception, was benched for Bailey Zappi, who also threw, I believe, 2 interceptions, but also got a touchdown pass. So
Yeah, his one of the interceptions was bad, but it was like they were late in the game, they were going to win, and then one of them was batted at the line that got tipped and picked. But
yeah. So, but going back into the Bears, with Montgomery back and healthy, he's really good. Khalil Herbert is a really good secondary that they can rely off of. And if Justin Fields can just keep his consistency up and keep his turnovers low, they can slowly creep their way back up. And with the NFC North right now, the way it's looking, if the Packers don't stab themselves in the foot anymore, the Bears could possibly creep up to a number 2 spot. But right now, I just see them staying at 3 for sure. So that's my 21.
yeah, fair point, fair point. 20 is actually a little higher for me, is going to be the Atlanta Falcons. I think Arthur Smith is a good coach. They should have beat the Bucks. They should have had a chance to beat the Bucks, but you hit Tom Brady, you're ejected and get a 15-yard penalty. So they should have had a chance to get against the Bucks, but they got kind of crushed by the Bengals, I guess. But overall, they have looked okay. They've looked okay, and I think that they deserve to be number 2.
Bro, they got killed by the Bengals. What are you talking about?
What was it? 35 to
Joe Burrow
21?
went for freaking 500 yards if you include rushing and passing, and he got
35 to
4
21. Was that
touchdowns.
14 points?
Yeah, but Burrow got 4 touch. They let Joe Burrow have a game.
Yeah, but they let Marcus Mariota throw for a 75-yard touchdown. The
That was
defense.
one play.
The defense was struggling for the Bengals.
Yeah.
The defense is struggling for them. So, who's your 20?
My 20 is going to be the Arizona Cardinals. They have not been looking too hot this season, and I'm not too big of a fan of them. And I have Kyler Murray as my quarterback in my other league, so it could be a little bit biased. But he just hasn't been. He's been very inconsistent.
Yeah. Their first quarters have been terrible.
They were even worse with Rondale Moore out, but you can't really rely too much off of one receiver. But with him being back, it does help the case out a lot.
And
with DeAndre Hopkins. So with him being back last week, that was pretty solid. I'll change my mind on them if they can end up beating the Vikings this week, which would be a pretty good upset. But I just want to kind of see how good of a, I guess, effect the DeAndre Hopkins has on that team and their running backs. Benjamin's doing pretty solid while James Conner's out. He is expected to possibly play this week. It's probably just going to be another game time decision, and they're going to bench him most likely. But with him being in, he's still not the greatest. And I think their offense could just be a lot better than what it is right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we're going to be moving on to number 19. And Cody, I'm sorry. It's the Green Bay Packers at 19.
Dang.
Aaron Rodgers.
Understandable.
As he's just not been himself. I mean, I'm sure you could agree on it. He does not look comfortable. He doesn't look like he trusts any of the receivers. He doesn't look like he's being a leader. Everything revolves around him on the Packers, and he is just not being a leader that he needs to be, in my opinion.
You want to know a piece of advice that Aaron Rodgers said?
What?
Relax. Relax. He's got this. It's freaking week 8, and he's still telling us that he's got this.
Relax. I mean,
they're 3 and 4. I don't think he's got this.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what's going on. He trusts about 2 guys on his team. Allen Lazard, he has some decent trust with, and he trusts
Allen Lazard may not even play this week.
And Aaron Jones, you trust him, but everyone else can like go to hell up to him. So
Yeah.
he just does not have chemistry with his team. So I mean, you're obviously the offense has been not look good. So that is why they're at 19 for me.
My number 19 is going to be the Buccaneers for the reason being of what you said, Landon, how their offense kind of just fell apart this season. The fact that Leonard Fournette is having such a terrible season compared to last year, and that he is being primarily used more in the passing game than rushing game, mostly because his rushing stats suck this year. They lost Gronk. They have Mike Evans really to rely off of him and Chris Godwin. It seems like that, but it's there's something. It's Brady. I think I don't want to blame everything. I think Brady's the problem of that team.
He is. I mean,
because ever since this whole outside drama blew up, like he's just like went downhill. And I don't want to say it's that Bruce Arians isn't head coach anymore because he's still technically with the organization, and he's got another head coach that it seems like he trusts. So I think it's a Brady problem. And if they win tonight, good for them. Let's see. They actually just got a 4th and 2 stop. So
yeah,
it's
time for Brady to retire. His wife's giving him ultimatums. Go with your supermodel wife and your $500 million and leave.
They are like squeezing for chances of playoff contention. If that, they need to win tonight to be playoff hopeful, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, my number 18 is going to be the Arizona Cardinals. They just need to perform in the first half, and they can be a really good football team. They have not been performing in the first half well at all. If they perform in the first half and they perform like they have in the second half, they would be like 5-2, possibly 6-0. They would be that good. I mean, they have looked great in the second half, but then they just looked terrible in the first half. So if they could just combine those two halves together and play good football throughout, they have the talent to do it. They could be a pretty good, damn good football team.
Yeah, I agree with you. My number 18 is going to be the Packers. So, like what you're saying, their offensive situation is just in a crisis right now.
We're not too far off on that.
I don't want to say they're in a crisis. It's just like they're not doing that great. This is
I think
Matt LaFleur's been with Bay for like 3 years now, and his first season, 13-3 NFC North Championship. Second season, I'm pretty sure they went 13-3 again, another North Championship game. They lost both of them, but we're not going to talk about that. Last year, another playoff run, no NFC Championship game, but obviously ever since LaFleur's been in Green Bay, it's been playoffs for the Packers, NFC North leaders for the Packers. It's been all Packers and nobody else ever since LaFleur got there for the NFC North. And I'm not blaming it on LaFleur. And I also don't really want to put all the blame on Devontae Adams, but I kind of do because we basically built our entire offense around one really good, reliable receiver.
Yeah,
arguably
it was
one of the best.
Adams, throw it away. That was the game plan last year.
Arguably the best receiver in the NFL last year. It's not really in the talks this year, but for their offense, Aaron Rodgers is like, I just don't think that he is looking that great. And he has some mid receivers. Al Lazard can't stay healthy for shit. And it would be nice if he could play a little bit more because he's literally their wide receiver 1 on that team. But then Packers just have a bunch of mid receivers. They don't have another standout guy. Our running back situation is fine. It's just Rodgers needs to combat with these younger wide receivers a lot more. And that's what it is.
I'm going to be honest. I think that this is the true Matt LaFleur. I don't think Matt LaFleur has ever been a good coach. I just think Rodgers has made him look good. That's my hot take. I just honestly think that.
Okay.
Now my number 17 is actually kind of cool for this team. It's going to be the Patriots. Have you said the Patriots yet?
What'd you say?
Have you said the Patriots yet?
I have not. You said it was your 17?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my 17 to the Patriots. Defense looked great, but you need to figure out the quarterback situation. I mean, Zappy has looked good. Mac Jones has looked all right. Bill Belichick said he's going to be splitting snaps with them. I do like that a lot. You can see who you like to move forward with. I think I've always been a Bailey Zappi guy. I was saying it on my cousin's podcast literally before he was even drafted to the Patriots. Watch out for Bailey Zappi. I've been saying it. Now he's playing well. He's getting his chance. He had one bad interception while there was a tip ball, but he led the Patriots to scoring drives so that Mac Jones couldn't do. So I think Bailey Zappi could overtake Mac Jones. It just depends on if they trust, okay, how do I say this? I think it's a matter of if they get too nervous of having to play Mac Jones because Mac Jones is a first-round pick, which clearly they're not scared of benching him. So props to the Patriots. Belichick knows the quarterbacks. So Bailey Zappi is in there splitting snaps with him. And then the defense played very well. You have a very good rushing game with Damian Harris or Ramondre Stevenson. Just think that they could go get a receiver at the trade deadline. That would really help them out because the receivers are pretty weak right now.
Mm-hmm. So my number 17 is going to be the Patriots as well.
Ooh,
so we got another double up. And basically saying what you were saying. I really like what they're doing with the quarterback situation right now, kind of like what the Saints are doing. And I'm interested to see which quarterback they will pursue, seeing as Mac Jones, there was our first rounder. It was supposed to be their guy. And Bailey Zappi, a rookie, comes and basically almost steals his job. If Brian Hoyer never got injured, Bailey Zappi probably would have never taken the field. That's probably a fact.
This is a very similar story. Yeah. Because there once was a quarterback who was drafted late in the draft, and his starter got injured, and he had to come in. You wonder who that guy was?
Yeah.
Tom fucking Brady.
A lot of people are saying that it's history repeating itself. And then a lot of other people are saying that it's just an overreaction and Mac Jones is going to lead the franchise. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in a couple weeks. Mac Jones
can lead the franchise.
Not lead the franchise, but like be their guy, you know?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So I want to know, are you guys Bailey Zappi or Mac Jones? Let us know.
I'm a Bailey Zappi guy, low key. If you could keep those turnovers a little bit clean.
Guy.
I didn't even know who the guy was until he took the field, to be honest. He's got a cool name.
You want his stats at Western Kentucky. He threw for like 5,500 yards and 63 touchdowns.
In one season?
One season.
Okay, that's pretty impressive.
Sure, it's weaker division of football, but still.
Yeah.
College football record.
I think that the Patriots, I know we're going to talk about this later, but I think the Patriots are going to lose to the Jets as an upset this week. Seeing as they are.
I don't even know if that's an upset anymore.
They have the Patriots are a powerhouse. They did just lose to the Bears. And the fact that they're division rivals, they are playing in New York. But I think that's going to be a good game, especially because they're a division rival.
Absolutely.
Even though the Jets are obviously favored.
Yeah. Moving on to 16. And this is probably the one team in the NFL where I'm like, oh, yeah. They exist. This is Tennessee Titans. I mean, I think they are mediocre as they get. They have They have a solid rushing game with Derrick Henry. Ryan Tannehill is nothing special. He's been looking pretty bad, actually. But their defense is solid. They're okay. That's all I can say about them. They just need to figure it out with Ryan Tannehill if they want to take that next step.
Okay. That pick threw me off. Mainly just because it's a lot different on my list, but my number 16 is going to be the Chargers. Now, I am a Justin Herbert guy. Chargers are my second favorite team, and they're not looking too great this season. Keenan Allen getting hurt pretty early on did hurt them a lot, and with Mike Williams being out, that is going to help or hurt them a lot because Mike Williams stepped up to be that guy while Keenan Allen was out. And is Keenan Allen going to play this week or no?
They're on a bye, I think, this week.
Oh, yeah, they're on a bye. So, coming back from the bye, Mike Williams is probably going to still not play. Keenan Allen will hopefully have enough rest and play, but if they're out, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, that's going to be a pretty huge blow to Herbert's boys.
Eckler show.
Yeah, it's literally just going to be an Austin Eckler show. And he's been doing very good, substantial numbers phenomenal. So the Chargers offense is all right, but they could be a lot better. and they are not playing like how they should be, especially like last year. And their defense is actually doing pretty decent. So I'm not gonna hit the panic button too fast. I think that they're still hanging in there.
Yeah, they should be doing a lot better for okay. It's gonna be funny again because your previous one leads into my next one because my number 15 is the Chargers. So I'll go ahead and talk about them. For their roster, they should be one of the best teams in the league, without a doubt. But I don't like Brandon Staley as a head coach at all. I think he doesn't have a good relationship with his team. I think he's a bad play caller. I just don't like him at all. I mean, he doesn't have the relationships that you need to have with your players to be able to motivate them and want and get the best out of them. That's what. Look, if you go back and look at Brian Flores, he had a terrible roster. He led him to a 6-10 season. I mean, that is what a good coach needs to do. And unfortunately, I just don't see that in Brandon Staley at all. Otherwise, they have a very good roster, offensively and defensively. They did just lose J.C. Jackson, but it's not like he was performing well, but he was their biggest free agent signing. Overall, they have been very underwhelming this season, but they're not terrible. So that's why I have them at 15, right in the middle.
Okay. And my number 15 is going to be the Las Vegas Raiders.
Bro, what is with you and you're fit now? The Raiders are my 14. So again, hey, I'll take it though. I'll take it.
Okay, so I'll cover them a little bit shorter so you can talk about them since they're your team.
All right.
The Raiders, with that playoff berth that they got last year, you'd think that they'd have a little bit better of a season going into this season. Now, Josh McDaniels is shit, basically. He's not doing
Thank you.
that great. His play calling isn't that great. And what was the guy's name? Rich Biscara or something?
Rich Bisaccia.
I don't know how to say his last name, but he was actually a really good interim head coach. And the fact that the Raiders were able to qualify with the freaking John Gruden situation going on says a lot about the team. And I think it's obvious to point fingers because they were able to add Devontae Adams, which is a massive offensive weapon. And then they get a new head coach and the Raiders just tank horribly. So I think all fingers are pointing towards the head coach in this situation, but I'll let you talk more about it.
I got a lot of thoughts on this team because they've given me some strokes over the years. So Josh McDaniels, his play calling is not as bad as it was because I feel like we're finding the way of the offense, and Derek Carr's looked pretty good. Adams is getting a lot of catches. He's doing pretty well. And then the defense just needs to improve on all things. But there's one thing I want to talk about. Josh McDaniels is not the best play caller, but overall, he is a decent play caller. He has shown up, and what we really need to do is feed Josh Jacobs the fucking ball. Josh Jacobs is a monster. Where has he come from, Cody? Did you expect this outcome from Josh Jacobs?
No, he was literally on my team last year and he was inconsistent as all get out. And now he's like the top 3 leading rusher in the NFL.
He's playing out of his mind. The offense, I think, is getting the groove. They're getting really good. They're getting pretty good, solid. Everything, every good word I can mention, they're doing it. They're getting there. The defense needs to stop giving up points. 20 points to the Texans, not good. We lose to the Chiefs. But the play calling does need to get better. But overall, we're putting up a lot of points. We're gaining yards. Defense just needs to step it up and hold the defense into points like we do in the first couple games. And we will win football games. I can guarantee you that. So now we're on number 13. Or no. You did talk about your 14. Your 14.
My 14 is going to be the Seahawks.
Ooh, okay.
Ever since week 1, they've just been kind of like that mid team. They have like their ups and downs, but Geno Smith is honestly like way better than anybody would have expected, and that's really good for the Seahawks in that matter. Losing DK Metcalf is gonna hurt them a lot, and they're gonna have to rely off of
Tyler Lockett.
I couldn't think of his name. They're gonna have to rely off of Tyler Lockett a lot more. Obviously, they just lost what's his face?
Rashad Penny.
Rashad Penny. I'm drawing a bunch of blanks. They just lost Rashad Penny.
Kenneth Walker, the
So
Kenneth Walker show.
yeah, it's gonna be the Kenneth Walker show from now on. And hopefully they'll still be able to keep up with that. I'm pretty confident in their offense though, and their defense is looking not great at all.
Yeah.
But if their offense can keep up the point scoring, they'll be able to get a couple close calls. But that isn't how they should be winning games. But they're playing the Giants, so they're probably gonna get smacked this week. So, but that's my
The
14.
Giants are an interesting team, man. We'll get to them in a bit, but man, they're like the redheaded stepchild. Like I have no idea what to do with them. But moving on to 13, I have the Los Angeles Rams. Great talent, but they have not looked that great this season for the things they have in their roster. They should be looking a lot better. Stafford not look good. Stafford's racist. He only throws to Cooper Kupp, and I'm upset because I have Allen Robinson. So
He's been using Robinson a lot more recently.
he got one touchdown. That's it.
More than in the beginning.
But overall, Stafford not look good on a serious
Stafford
note.
has a lot of turnovers this season too.
Yeah, that is true. Has a lot of turnovers, but they also have a lot of sacks and a lot of injuries to the offensive line. And I think that is a huge reason why they are not great, because Stafford's a guy where he'll collapse in the pocket a little bit. He'll get a little nervous. So Stafford not looking too great because of the line. And then you had the issues with Cam Akers, who was like going to get traded. He's never going to play with the Rams again. So that's interesting, as you, as a fellow Daryl Henderson owner, are probably very happy about.
Yeah.
So
very happy.
So you're very happy about that. But defenses look solid, but overall that offensive line just needs to improve.
Yes. My number 13 is going to be the Rams as well.
There's three.
Obviously going into that Super Bowl hangover, the Bengals were experiencing it, but they're bouncing back a lot more than what the Rams are doing right now. Their offense just hasn't looked as productive as it was last year. And Cooper Kupp, he's still getting a lot of good touches, but he's been shut down a little bit more, mostly due to Matthew Stafford's inability to perform as well this season. And then the whole Cam Akers situation is also very interesting because it kind of seemed like it happened just like all of a sudden, and Cam Akers was slammed onto the bench, never to play a snap again, and Daryl Henderson was the undisputed starter. And I'm happy about that because he's on my team. So from a fantasy aspect, I'm really happy about that. So hopefully that'll cause some difference, but who knows? The Rams are just a very poor, productive team. I mean, they're 3-3, so they're still playoff hopeful in week 8. It is a must-win game against the Niners, who did just get blown out by the Chiefs. And their offense isn't looking too great right now. So we'll see if the Rams defense can capitalize on them. But once again, it'll change the opinion if they win this week. A lot of make or break wins this week, for sure.
As I said, this is where we start to see the good teams and the bad teams. So my number 12 is going to be the Dolphins, simply because I really don't know how to feel about Tua, because Tua has had great games. He's
4-0 this season.
He's had decent games, but like against the Steelers, I don't think he looked that great. They only put up 19 points, so I'm very conflicted with him. As you said, he's 4-0, but offensive line is kind of shaky. Receivers are great. Raheem Mostert's really coming out. He's looking really good. He's looking really good. And then the defense is looking solid, but I'm just so conflicted with Tua, which is why they're not higher on this list, honestly. It's just I don't know how to feel about Tua right now.
Yeah, so my number 12 is going to be the Dolphins as well. So we have back-to-back picks. So they were looking very, very solid in the beginning, looking very good, very productive, very efficient. Then the Tua injury situation happened, and the Teddy Bridgewater situation with him being in, and it was a little bit of a slump that got put in. Obviously, Tua came back and they won, and we'll see if they can keep being productive with him being back. I don't know what aspect he's going to be back in because, that was a pretty serious head injury that he's playing with now. But Mostert is really starting to break out in these past couple of weeks, which is really great to see. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, really great weapons to have. And if their offense can be just a little bit more productive, especially with Tua being back, they're going to be going against the Lions, which is like an undisputed win this week. So
If the
if they
Lions
lose,
win, if they win,
if the Dolphins lose, then there's a problem.
the Detroit riots will happen in 2022 if the Lions win.
Yeah, so if the Dolphins can keep up their offensive performance, especially with Tua being back, then they're definitely a playoff contention team.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's how you know Tom Brady's doing bad. You know he's doing not that great when Lamar Jackson has more passing yards than him at halftime.
Well, he's also got like twice the amount of throws too.
Yeah, it's true. But Brady, come on,
Lamar
man.
does more rushing, anyways.
Yeah. Lamar or the Ravens are dominating time possession, but my 11, Cody. I don't know if we're gonna get. Can we get 3 for 3 on this?
Let's see.
San Francisco 49ers.
3 for 3.
Let's go. 3 for 3 in a row.
After this, the streak's gonna end. I already know that.
Yeah, it's because you already said one. My number 10, you already said, so that stinks. But 49ers, very, very solid team. Offensive line looks good. Defense looks good. They're getting their pieces back. Nick Bosa just got Christian McCaffrey. That's going to help. You have Deebo Samuel over there. You got a lot of weapons there. But Jimmy Garoppolo is a solid quarterback. They're a good team. I mean, they're in the top. They're just missing on the top 10, but they're in the top 11. They're there for a reason. They're a playoff team. I just don't think that they're elevated as these other teams are, or I don't think they're playing as well as these other teams are. So it's not the Jimmy G's fault, but Jimmy G won't win you games, but he won't lose you games. So that's why I have him at 11.
Yeah, my 11 obviously is the Niners as well. With the whole Trey Lance situation in the beginning, I remember we were making fun of that, and then he broke his ankle. Like what, week 2, 3?
Yeah, me too.
So it's been the Jimmy G so then since then, and he's been able to get them to a 3-4 record, which isn't terrible. Christian McCaffrey is a huge addition to that team, but he didn't really play too much of an aspect in the game last week that they played against the Chiefs. The Chiefs are just an offensive juggernaut, and they're gonna score points and touch. Like,
Absolutely.
it's mind-boggling how many points the Chiefs can score every time they play someone.
Mm-hmm.
And the Niners got a pretty good defense too, so it's surprising. And they're going against the Rams, so I think it's going to be a very defensive standoffish game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not too many offense points being put on the board. They obviously do have good offensive weapons, and Jimmy G is pretty consistent. So if they can beat the Rams and be more effective on offense in terms of point scoring, and then I think they're going to be a little bit higher for sure.
Yeah. Niners 3 for 3. And this is where our streak ends. So 10. Wow. This is crazy. The Seattle Seahawks.
Dang.
Have blown my mind as Geno Smith looked great. Sure, they suffered it to Metcalf, but a few bad losses, they have looked pretty good. The defense has not looked good, but the offense has made up for that. The defense, if they just step it up a little, this team could possibly go places. I don't know why. Like, the running game is good. They're passing the ball with Geno Smith. The line's playing all right. I mean, he has time. They're doing things, and I got to respect that. So that's why they're at number 10 for me.
Yeah, my number 10 is going to be the Tennessee Titans.
Ooh, okay.
I'm not too big of a Tennessee Titans fan, but I feel like this would be a right place to put them. I don't know what you'd want to define as right. They are 4-2, and they had a very shaky start, but they are slowly starting to get their ball rolling. They are going against the Texans, which should be a walk-off win, which will boost them even more into playoff contention. Derrick Henry is now creeping his way into the top 5 rushing leaders after having a horrible start to the season, which is really good to see. And if Derrick Henry can just keep being consistent, then he's obviously just going to pull another trick move like he did last year, even though I think this time last year he was
Okay,
injured.
now.
So,
Okay, now. I don't know
but
about last year. He was
he
he
was
was
absent like
his
the entire season. He
when he
was
was
good when he was
playing.
healthy.
Yeah, he was. Whoo, whoo.
All
So
right, that was my 10 though.
10 now. I'm on 9, who are currently playing right now, who is the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar has been awesome, and then he sucked. Like last week, he sucked. A few weeks ago, he's been awesome. I need that consistency in the middle for Lamar. And
Oh my
then,
God, but that Dolphins game though,
whoo, in the game after that, damn,
yeah,
back to back 50 fantasy points. That is hard to do. But then last week, he
disgusting.
had like 7. So
Mark Andrews had like
me,
0.7.
yeah, I had Mark Andrews. I won by point. I had Mark Andrews who got 0.4, and I still scored 180 points. So
Jesus Christ.
Lamar, meet in the middle, play good every game, be consistent. Mark Andrews did just suffer injury that is going to affect them, but the defense has looked very good. They've shown them to be a top 10 defense. And then the rushing game has been awesome. No doubt about it. I mean, this rushing game is awesome. It's just Lamar, get the passing game developed and be more consistent in the passing game, and you can be a top 5 team in the NFL.
So my number 9 is going to be the New York Jets.
Who they're my number 8.
Now, New York football in general is just on crack this year. I don't know what
For
happened,
real.
but the Jets, Giants, and Bills just collectively agreed to just like kick ass this season. And they are like running this shit right now. And they blew me, they blew everybody away, probably thinking that, New York Jets in the top 10?
I
Like, what
know.
the
And
heck?
the Giants.
And with Brees Hall being out, I'm hoping that they don't regress too much, but they are expected to win this week. But I mean, they're just an explosive team, and I'm excited to see what they're going to be able to do for the rest of the season. And I'm hoping that this isn't just them being frauds.
I
But
mean,
they're definitely
they're
my number
5-2.
9.
I mean, they offensively they did not look good last week. They need to put up,
I
but they
mean,
were
they did
playing.
beat they beat the Packers, so but
That's
but
true.
everyone's just beating the Packers this year, so
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, man. So they've been very good. I'll move into my number 9 or my number 8, which is the Jets. So they've been very good. Sauce Gardner has been locked down, which I love to see. Back on my mock draft episode, I said he was my number 1 player in the draft. On the whole draft, Sauce Gardner was my number 1 player, and he is showing it right now. Gonna win Defensive Rookie of the Year if he continues at this pace. He's been locked down. That whole defense has been very good. Quentin Williams stepping up. The whole pass rush has been stepping up. Linebackers been solid. Everything about that defense has been pretty good, shutting down teams. They shut down the Packers, shutting down the Broncos, which isn't that hard, but overall, the defense looked really good. My biggest issue, if Zach Wilson can just be a good quarterback, the way they're playing right now, they will be awesome. I still think that they can dominate in the run game, so that's what I hope that I can see them continue to do and have them defense get stops, and they'll be a very good team.
oh yeah. My number 8 is going to be the Ravens, so we basically did another
Swap.
flip-flop. I'm not a huge Ravens fan, and I'm not a huge Lamar Jackson fan. I said it before, and I still say it. I think he's overrated. But if he
Oh,
can end
he
up
just hit a
getting the
nasty
Ravens
spin
to,
move, though.
I know, if he can, your game's ahead of mine. What the heck? I just saw that play right now.
Good run by Lamar.
Whatever. If he can lead the Ravens to a winning season this year, especially after the contract drama going on in the offseason, I'll maybe change my opinion on him. But Lamar Jackson is freaking top 5 rushers in the NFL. He's a quarterback.
Damn.
What the heck? And is he leading in passing? Not really. Like, I'm not hating on the fact that he can run, but it's just like
He needs to be able to pass.
I know, like you can't he's just gonna get injured, and you can only keep up with this mobility for a certain period of time, because if you want to be a
That
long-term
age.
quarterback in the NFL and you're running like that, it's not gonna
Look at
work out
Cam
too
Newton.
well. Yeah, exactly. But the Ravens offense is getting better than what it was last year. And if they can beat the Bucks this week, then it'll be even different. But I still have the Bucks winning this game. So
Yeah, let's go Ravens. So that was number 8 for you. My number 7 is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. Offense really coming together, but that Jamar Chase is gonna hurt. But they just have a couple games that like Steelers cannot. That was a bad loss. Who they lose to week 2?
the Steelers. Wait, what, the
No,
Bengals?
who the Bengals lose to week 2? They lost to someone bad in week 2 that they should have won. The Cowboys with Cooper Rush. So need to win those games, and their offense does not look solid. But now their offense is getting there; they're looking pretty good. So that is why I have them at number 7. As I do.
I mean,
have
to
some
be
news.
fair, they lost by a field goal.
Okay, but news: Mark Andrews will not return to this Monday night football. Thursday night football game. So that is something to look out for on the injury report.
Bummer.
Yeah.
So
number 7.
My number 7 is going to be the Minnesota Vikings. And this is a little bit biased for how low they are, just because I'm a Packers fan and they are leading the North currently with a
Yours is not low to mine.
with a manageable gap. Well, take low into whatever account you want to take it, but obviously you put the Bengals this low, so your Vikings are higher, so mine are obviously lower.
Believe it or not, your Vikings are at 7, and my Vikings are at 6. So you're
go figures.
You're one ahead of me again.
Yeah, going back to them, Justin Jefferson had a little bit of a slump in like the first couple weeks, but he's going back to balling out. Kirk Cousins, I've always been kind of a hater against him, but he's showing up. Dalvin Cook, for my first round draft pick, had a horrible start to the season. He's slowly starting to turn things around. Obviously, coming off a bye week, going against Arizona, so we'll see if the Vikings will be able to keep up with that momentum. But offensively, their team is looking pretty solid, and I would have not really expected them to be performing at this level, but that's why they're my 7.
Yeah, I mean, my number 6 is the Vikings. I mean, Kirk Cousins is a solid quarterback as long as he's not playing Monday night.
This is their first season with the new head coach too, right?
Yeah, Kevin O'Connell, I believe.
Yeah, they just what's his name, Mike Zimmer. They just lost him.
Yeah, they fired him and then hired Kevin O'Connell. And Kirk Cousins is a quarterback. He's not going to lose you. He can lose you games, but he's a solid NFL quarterback. But they need to establish the rushing game with Dalvin Cook more, and then that can open the pass game with Justin Jefferson. But defense looking solid. Just they can establish more things with the threats they have on their team.
Yep. So my number 6, hurts me to say this, is going to be the Dallas Cowboys.
You want to know something? I
am a Cowboys fan. I am a Cowboys. You're what? They're 5 for you?
Yeah.
Bro. So I'm a little bit more of a Cowboys fan. I guess I'm just like a Dak Prescott hater because Cooper Rush is pretty electric to watch. Elliott being out, I don't think it's going to affect them whatsoever because Elliott wasn't doing much in the first place. He did just have his good game finally, but Pollard is going to be able to carry him whatsoever. Like, he's obviously way better than Elliott, but Jerry Jones doesn't want to admit it because of how much freaking money they're paying Elliott right now.
Yeah.
So, but with him being out, the Cowboys are not going to take any hit. Now, if Dak loses this week, they better bench him. I swear to God. They need to put Cooper Rush in because he came back and barely won.
Who's getting paid $40 million.
Dak Prescott came back from injury and did a horrible performance.
You can't bench a quarterback who you're paying $40 million. It just can't happen.
Well, then I hope that they start him and then they lose. But yeah, they're my 6. Obviously coming from the NFC East, 3 of the 4 teams in that division are in playoff contention right now. What is going on?
Yeah, that
3
is.
teams from the NFC East are in playoff contention.
If
I said that to someone 5 years ago, they probably would have smacked me and thought I was like on drugs.
You would have said that to someone 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's a crazy world.
The NFC East was the laughing stock of the NFL for the longest time.
Yeah, they were.
And they're just kicking ass this season, except for the Commanders.
Yeah. But the NFL's crazy. And as usual, your one previous leads into my next number. So my number 5 is the Cowboys. I honestly probably should have a blower just because Dak's coming back and has not looked good, but this is a make or break game for Dak. We're going to see what Dak has. I don't think he will get benched at any point in the season, but if it comes to it, it'd be interesting. So this is a make or break game. Zeke hasn't practiced all week, so that's interesting. We'll see if Pollard gets a start there. But overall, CD Lamb's been a little underwhelming. Need to utilize him more. Offensive line's been solid, but the defense has been really impressive under Dan Quinn. They've been a top 5 defense in the NFL. So Cowboys, number 5.
For my number 5 is going to be the Bengals.
Ooh, okay.
They had a shaky start to the season, especially being a Burrow fantasy owner, but he was really able to turn things around, and I'm happy for that. With the Jamar Chase situation, it is going to be a little bit of a change because Joe Mixon just the entire season hasn't been that great. But they are going against. Who are they going against?
They are playing the Browns.
No. Okay. Well, they should win. So if they win, I would love to see the Bengals in the playoffs, honestly. So
They're an
obviously,
electric playoff team.
obviously they started off in a little bit of a playoff slump, but I want to see Shiesty in the playoffs again. And they're a fun team to watch.
You're like your third favorite teams of the Bengals.
Maybe just because I'm a Burrow owner, so
Yeah. So
and that freaking whiteout game was pretty cold.
Yeah, they had some issues.
Minus the Tua situation, but
they were sort of gang signs. All right, number 4 for me. Oh, Jesus, man, I look at this every single time, and it blows my mind. The Giants are my number 4.
yeah, G-Man.
I think the biggest winner here is Brian DeBole. I mean, he has turned Daniel Jones, who was a terrible quarterback, into a solid quarterback.
He's a superstar.
That's a stretch.
He's got more rushing yards than Najee. He's a superstar.
That's just Najee's. I think Daniel Jones is average, and he's an okay quarterback
100%
right now.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's average. He just has Brian Dable, who's doing good stuff with him. So
good for him, though.
That's why he's decent. Saquon Barkley back to his original form, performing at a super high rate. They are a really good rushing team. And then the defense has been playing very well, which is very nice to see. They did just trade Kadarius Toney, though, but they've seen to win without him because he hasn't been playing. So who knows? This Giants team, will they continue to do this? We will see. As who do they play this week? Do they have a big test?
They have the Seahawks.
Going to be a big test. I mean, Seahawks have looked good. We're going to see who looks better. Let's see who comes out on top. It's going to be an interesting game.
Right. So my number 4 is going to be the Giants as well. Kind of like what you're saying. Their offense is really great, and it's nice to see a healthy Barkley being able to carry that team. Obviously into a 6-1 record and blowing everybody's minds by the week. Every game that they play, their defense is looking really solid. And obviously my boy Brian being pretty good. And being a Packers fan, it is a little bit of annoyance because it was their first time playing in London. But a cool stat that the Giants have going for them is they're undefeated in London games. So, and he was able to keep that streak going. So I guess that's pretty cool for them.
Yeah. I mean, Giants. Wow. Who is your number 4?
My number 4 is going to be the Chiefs.
Ooh, okay.
It was top 3 is like really like could go anyway, to be honest.
So Chiefs are at 4. You're going to have an interesting top 3 here.
I feel like they'd be pretty obvious.
Yeah. All right. So my number 3 going to be the Chiefs. Chiefs are a great football team. There's nothing about that. They're a great football team. You have Patrick Mahomes. You have a great running game. Everything about your team is great besides your defense. You're a great football team. There's just 2 football teams that are better than you. That's all there is to say.
They would be disgusting if they had an amazing defense.
If they had they have a decent defense. If they had a good defense, they'd be unstoppable. But people put up points on them, and that's part of the reason why they lose. So there's two teams that are better than them, in my opinion. So
Yeah, so my number 3 is going to be the Chiefs. And they have been an offensive juggernaut since day one. It probably grew a few questions to see how they would be affected with the Tyreek Hill trade. And the answer is not at all. Not one
not at all.
bit at all. It's like he never even played there. They got Travis Kelce. They got Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They got Juju Smith-Schuster being a little bit of an impact player on that team. And they just got picked up Kadarius Toney. So if he can stay healthy, he'll be a pretty good role on that team. Patrick Mahomes is just fucking great. He's awesome. I really like watching him. And I'm more of an offensive than defensive guy. So watching Chiefs games are always exciting for me because you're going to get minimum 20 points from the Chiefs at least.
Yeah,
And that's exciting to watch.
and if
Obviously,
it is not, it is a weird day.
Undisputed playoff contenders though. Every single year, that's just undisputed. Chiefs going to the playoffs.
Yeah,
unless something happens. But yeah, that's my number 3.
I just realized. I'll talk about it when I get to my number 1. My number 2, Buffalo Bills. I mean, Josh Allen is great. The defense has looked amazing. But I might just have bias here because I said before, who my second favorite team is, and that's might be why they're at number 1. But it's my list. I love the Bills are great. I like the team ahead of them more, as I just said for the Chiefs. There's nothing wrong with the Bills at all. Bills are a great team. They're phenomenal. Great quarterback. Maybe they can establish the running game a little more, but they're still establishing it with Josh Allen. Passing game's there, and the defense is amazing. So the Bills are my number 2.
So my number 2, obviously we're process of elimination. We know what teams are going to be which. Mine are going to be the Eagles.
Okay.
For most people, the undefeated team would be at the top. I'm going to drop them down one just because in terms of points and production, I believe the other team, which is obvious, but I believe the other team is just a little bit more effective because the Eagles can be an offensive juggernaut with A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith being involved now, and then Jalen Hurts as well. But there are some games where they might fall short of that, and the Bills, I believe, are just a little bit more consistent in terms of point scoring and completions and whatnot. But Eagles are really fun to watch this year. Jalen Hurts playing amazing. A.J. Brown, first year on the team, doing amazing. Devonta Smith still having struggles with getting some attention. It seemed like last year he was struggling with that. This year he's a little bit more consistent, but he's still dropping 0-point games, which is bad. But Miles Sanders, too, having a really great season back. Love to see that. And their defense, too, being really great. Obviously, just picked up Robert Quinn, so kudos to them.
Yeah, which gets me to my number 1, the Eagles. I'm about to rant here. Jalen Hurts, amazing. He's not up to Josh Allen, but he's amazing. They have Miles Sanders, who's been great. They implement Boston Scott as well. I think they have a better receiving core. I think Devontae Smith's better than Gabe Davis. I don't think Brown's better than Diggs, but Brown's right up there. They're 2 great receivers. They have Dallas Goedert, who I think is better than Knox. And overall, I think their whole scheme is better. You don't know if they're going to run or pass it. They run read zones. They give the ball to Sanders. They run the ball with Jalen Hurts. They throw the ball with Jalen Hurts. They do so many different things. It's going to be you can't predict them. Then you go to the defense side of the ball. They have a lockdown corner in Darius Slay. They have decent safeties in Anthony Harris. Pretty good safeties. Decent linebackers, Nakobe Dean, rookie. I love him. Then you go onto the defensive line. My God, Robert Quinn, Jordan Davis. I'm forgetting Brandon Graham, and then I'm missing one guy, Fletcher Cox. Amazing. This defense is going to be awesome. I have no doubt that they can be the best team in the league, and that is why they're my number 1.
That is a very fair argument, and obviously my number 1 is going to be the Buffalo Bills. Flip-flopping on this one as well. I enjoy watching the Bills. Josh Allen is obviously front runner for the MVP, and he has been for multiple seasons, but always falls short. So maybe this season will be his season. The Bills' offense is just really nice to watch, and I believe you are right about the Goddard tight end situation. I think he is a lot better with him, with Jalen Hurts than Knox is with Allen. But Singletary compared to Sanders, Singletary he's been rough last season. He's a little bit better this season. And Stephon Diggs is just doing Stephon Diggs things. He's honestly really great. So that's going to be my number one for my ranking list.
All right. So that is going to wrap up the power ranking. So real quick, so we don't keep this episode too long, we're going to go to our 2-minute drill. So real quick, we're going to put that timer on the clock, go through our week 8 predictions. But before we do that, Cody went the last time that we picked. Cody, I went 13-3 with my picks.
Okay.
And you went 8-8. And then
yeah, those friggin' upsets sucked. There was like 4 games that like went the complete opposite way.
But then the next week we did. I forgot to ask you for your picks, and I didn't do any picks, so I just both gave us an 8-8 record just to even it out. So
Fair.
Overall, on my season, I am 36-28, and you are 29-35. So we're not that far off. Not that far off from each other.
Yeah, turn it over this season.
Yeah,
this week.
We'll see what we can do this week. So let's put that time on the clock. Tampa Bay versus Baltimore.
I think we spoke about this earlier. Obviously, Tampa. I guess it's fair to say since they're tied now.
Yeah. I'm going to take Baltimore. I like the running upside with Lamar. Denver versus Jacksonville. What a terrible London game.
You said Denver versus Jacksonville?
Yeah, in London.
I'll take Jacksonville. I hate the Broncos, and their offensive performance is just horrible.
I'm taking the Jags for the same reason you did. Arizona versus Minnesota.
I'll go Minnesota. I believe their offense can be a lot more consistent than the Cardinals, and their offense can be a little bit patchy. So that'll be my reason.
I'm going to take the upset here. I think that Kyler Murray is going to click this week with DeAndre. And for some reason, I always feel like Arizona beats Minnesota. Touchdown Ravens, by the way.
That's
Kenyon
true.
Drake. So I'm going to go with Arizona. Miami versus Detroit.
God.
Man.
I'm going to say Miami. I want to say there could be an upset involved, but I'm just going Miami.
See, I want to too, but I can't do it. I'm taking Miami.
Yeah, I can't afford to pick
Chicago
upsets.
versus Dallas.
Chicago versus Dallas. I'll take Dallas. With Elliott being out, hopefully Pollard will do good. And with the Bears' performance against Patriots, it's hard to tell, but I think they're just going to regress this week, and the Cowboys are going to win.
Yeah, they do got a very good defense, but I don't think Dak's going to perform. So give me the Bears. Carolina versus Atlanta.
I'll take the Panthers 100%, especially after their Tampa Bay performance last week. And PJ Walker just being a guy.
Yeah, PJ Walker. But I don't think he's good enough to beat the Falcons. I think Marcus Mariota has enough diversity with his arm and his legs to be able to confuse the Panthers defense. So I'm going to go with the Falcons. And then Patriots versus Jets. Who do you got, Cody?
A logical person would maybe go for the Patriots if this game was like 2 weeks ago, but I'm going Jets all the way. They're division rivals, and I think the Jets are going to have a couple tricks up their sleeves that Belichick won't be able to get over.
I agree. I'm going with the Jets. Philadelphia versus Pittsburgh.
Philadelphia all the way. Steelers' offense is just horrible. Their defense is mid, and Philadelphia's offense is just going to walk all over them.
Yeah, this is the point in the season where we start seeing the undefeated teams. You're always going to wonder when are they going to lose? So it makes you question it. But no, I got to go Philly. As I said, I love them, but got to go Philly here. They have so much diversity on that team. Tennessee versus Houston.
I'll take Tennessee for the reason that I ranked them, and Houston obviously just being bad. So not really much reason there, but I'm just take the Titans.
I'm gonna go Houston. I'm a Dameon Pierce guy. Why not? Let's go Houston.
Yeah, Dameon Pierce is pretty solid.
Giants versus Seahawks.
God, this is a game that can go on.
This might be the game of the week.
Oh, I'll take the Giants.
Hey.
Like I said, I don't really want to try to pick too many upsets this week because I just can't afford it. And if the Giants offense can stay together, obviously they just lost Daniel Bellinger, so
yeah.
to an eye injury, which is horrific when you think about it. And
yeah,
I would hate to have that happen to me, but I think the Giants will end up winning.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Giants too. I just think that the defense is going to slow Geno Smith down. So now we got the 49ers versus Rams.
Wait, hang on. The Ravens just got a touchdown. Is my game that far behind yours, or did they get another touchdown?
They got a touchdown a while ago.
I'm getting the replay for that right now.
Oh, what the hell? All right, 49ers versus Rams.
Niners for the upset.
Nah.
I guess kind of an upset.
I'm going to go with the Niners just simply because they're getting a lot of their players back, and I think Christian McCaffrey can do some damage.
Easily.
Washington versus Indy.
I'll go for the upset. I'll take the Commanders. I'll do that.
Okay.
I'll take Commanders over the Colts.
I mean, I'm gonna go Indy. I'm gonna give it to the edge to Sam Ellinger. Give it to the kid. Give it to the young buck. Let's see what he does. Now, Cody, are you excited for this game? Buffalo versus Green Bay.
God, I'm gonna freaking crawl up in a ball and cry by the end of it.
So you're gonna take Green Bay, right?
Yeah, sure. I'll take Green Bay. I can't pick against my team.
All right, takes Green Bay. I'm gonna go Buffalo. I mean, they're Buffalo. What else to say? And speaking against our teams, New Orleans versus Las Vegas.
New Orleans.
This scares me. I'm taking New Orleans. I can't trust this team right now. Give me New Orleans.
I can't trust the Packers, but I'm at least gonna hope.
Yeah, I can't do it. And then
they're prime timing it up on Sunday too.
Yeah. And then Cody, what a glorious day. Cleveland versus Cincy. Orange against orange on Halloween night, baby. Who do you got?
Oh, that's they planned that. You can't tell me
They for sure did.
I will take the Bengals, mostly just because I'm a Burrow fantasy owner and I'm interested to see how they're going to perform without Jamar. But the Browns are always going to fall short of everything. And if that Cade York might possibly miss a field goal, which will lose them the game, which honestly might happen.
Yeah, he's been decent. Cleveland versus Cincy, Halloween. Give me the Stripes. Give me the Bengals. Joe Burrow, better. The receivers are better. Mixon can be better than Chubb, but he hasn't been. And I think the defense is better I think overall the Bengals can outscore the defense of the Browns more than the defense will outscore the offense of the Bengals. If that makes sense.
Whatever. Yeah, the Bengals defense better step up and keep Nick Chubb on lock because he's about to run all over them.
Yeah, but give me Cincy. So Halloween night wraps up with that game. And speaking of wrapping up, we're about to wrap up our episode here. Bit of a long one today. I didn't expect it to be this long, but we got our power rankings done, so that was fun. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you comment your favorite team down in the comments. Like, subscribe, do all that shenanigans, whatever you want. So share it to your friends. Get us out there. So, Cody, thank you for joining me once again.
Yes, of course. It's always fun being on here talking football.
Yep, gonna go finish watching this Tampa game, which is not looking too good. But,
17.
Football's football. It's a close game. Wait, what'd you say the score was?
10-17.
Oh, yeah, they did score again. I'm behind.
Okay. I thought that my TV was just bad.
Okay. So we're good. So, yeah, that's going to be the third episode. I want to thank you guys for watching. And as always, we will see you guys next time.